Mr. Edit Man presents. What levels of cheapness have astonished you? At my local Dunkin' Donuts you have to ask the workers specifically if you want a packet of sugar/sweet and low or one of those little half and half containers, because the senior citizens in the area used to come in and take them all, so they would not have to buy them in the store and the workers had to take them all away. When I was a little kid I used to spend summers at my grandparents' house, and one of my chores was to set the table before dinner every night. Whenever we were having company over for dinner, I was instructed to use the good napkins. That meant the napkins that did not have restaurant logos printed on them. We only went to restaurants when my grandmother felt she could come out ahead on the deal. And there were many ways to accomplish this. She clipped coupons, of course. But that was kid stuff. Anytime she did anything for someone, she'd get them to take her to dinner to return the favor. She had an enormous purse, which generally came back stuffed with napkins and food from the buffet. She did not see much point in going to any restaurant that did not at least have a salad bar. One year, when my mother and I offered to take her to dinner for her birthday, we ended up having to drive over an hour to get to a Sizzler she had not been banned from. My 13-year-old daughter was invited to a small birthday party at a mediocre chain restaurant, Ruby Tuesdays, for her best friend. The girlfriend is over here quite often and regularly eats dinner, breakfast, lunch etc. if she is here, and sleeps over about twice a week during the summertime. She's been included to trips to the amusement park and water park nearby. We have season tickets, but there is always something to eat. Funnel cakes, etc. Movies, and the occasional trip to Dairy Queen, and I have never asked to be paid or have her pay her own way. We treat her as one of our own. Imagine my disgust when my daughter calls me from the restaurant bathroom, nearly in tears, telling me that they just told her she will have to pick up her own check after dinner and dessert have been served. Check was like $13. The guy actually said separate checks to the waitress, but my daughter did not know what that meant. She had a few bucks on her, but she was short about $5. The other girl's father told my daughter that she would have to stay and was dishes or something, and got real ugly with her, like she misled them or something. I have the parents' cell phone numbers, called him and asked him real nice like if he could spot her $10 until he brought her home, and I would pay him back. He refused, and made it like somehow my daughter and I were scamming him. He suggested that I call the front desk and square it away, because they were leaving, and were going to leave my daughter there if she could not pay, so he would not have the cops chasing him down on his daughter's birthday. I did call the front desk, gave them my credit card, included a healthy tip, and told my daughter I would be there to pick her up in 10 minutes. Do not go anywhere. When I got there, a clone was trying to get my daughter to leave with his family. Now that the bill was paid, his daughter was in tears. Needless to say, it got ugly. My mom had a boyfriend that would pull the stems off of cherries before purchasing them from the grocery store because he felt they'd weigh less without the stems and he'd get more for the money. A friend who used to work at a supermarket once told me about a customer who used to peel bananas before he bought them for the same reason. A group of folks went out for dinner at a convention, and several people had leftovers. When we returned, one of the people who had not been able to get out to dinner was bummed. So one of the diners said, "Well, I have some leftovers. If you'd like them." "Sure. Okay." My meal was $10, and there's about half of it left. "So you owe me ... No, I'm not kidding. No, it was not me. One of my friends used to buy food and not finish it all. So I would ask if I could have it, and he would say the same malarkey. I refused to pay, and this guy throws it away instead. In my department where I work, I always have a small basket of candy, Jolly Ranchers, Tootsie Rolls, Lifesavers, out for my customers. Most are most appreciative and ask, "Are these free?" and take one, maybe two, and thank me for the candy. Then there are some customers who just walk up and take handfuls of the candy. Once I had an older man dump the entire thing into his man purse, look straight at me and walk out. I knew a farmer who only had one light bulb. He would carry it around with him all the time, taking it from one room to another if he needed to. My great grandfather did this during the Depression. The company I work for would not buy us pens. Start using crayons. I do not have any crayons lying around at work, but I have filled out a record sheet in nothing but pink highlighter. Last night this happened at a fair. The man at the front of the line for ice cream offered to pay for all the kids and the family behind him because he was taking a while. He gave the booth $40 bucks and said what was ever left over should go to the charity. The church was running the ice cream booth. The people with the kids' ice cream totaled $21 and they insisted for the change back. It was not even their money. When the lady refused, she asked for the manager. WTF. Edit. The manager did not give her the money back. I worked in a Subway and an evil woman came in one day. It was busy and she took forever to order, asking a million questions and complaining about everything while an entire line is behind her. She gets to pay, but oh, I don't have enough money for that. The nice old man behind her offers to pay for food sincerely and she thanks him. She goes to sit down, then gets up, complains to us while there is still a busy line about wanting to turn the ceiling fans off. Never been off the 3 years I worked there. To finally kick it off, she gets back up before leaving, orders 2 more footlongs, and pays for it no problem with the same wallet she said she had no money in. We were all shocked at this evil woman. See, our McDonald's is awesome. We had a similar situation where someone was slightly short on their meal. It was like £21.80. They apparently only had a 20, and so the cashier was really nice and let them have it anyway. So the person behind gave the cashier the missing £1.80. Later, the same guy comes up to try and order a McFlurry. Midway through the order, the person who served them last walks over to the till and presses cancel. I'm sorry sir, we do not do free meals. He looks over and asks what he's talking about. You only had a 20, remember? He looked like he was about to explode. It was brilliant. You do not con our McDonald's P. I work at a hardware store. Someone came in needing parts for gas line repair. Once I got him set up with all the pipe and fittings, I asked if he had the right tape for it. You need a special type of Teflon tape to have a perfect seal and prevent gas leaks. He replied, no. Can you get me some? I grab the tape and he asks why I grabbed the yellow tape. $4.99 instead of the blue tape. $0.99. I told him that the blue is for water line and using it could very likely cause a gas leak. After trying to convince him for 10 minutes to just spend the $4 extra on something that would likely save his life, I walked away. I come back from my break. Turns out that the guy put back all the black iron, gas, pipes and fittings, and got the galvanized steel, water, pipes and fittings, a total of $15 cheaper, and blue tape. 2 weeks later there was a story on the news about a guy whose house had a gas leak and exploded. Luckily, the man was out with his family at the time, and no one was injured. Not sure if it was the same man from the store, but it's likely. To sum it up, a guy came into the hardware store for gas line repairs, ended up using pipes and fittings for water line instead of gas to save about $15 on a $250 purchase, possibly caused his house to explode. I have a friend who is full on gluten intolerant. However, he's so cheap that he'll go to any lengths to avoid paying for food or anything else. When he found out he could dumpster unlimited bread in San Francisco, that became the staple day. The entirety of his diet, he spends his days moaning in agony as his insides churn and roil, suffering from constant fiery diarrhea. Yet he continues to eat his glutinous meals merely because they're free. I lived with 3 other people during my junior year of college, and one of them insisted on keeping the AC off in the summer and the heat off in the winter, even though we lived in campus housing and did not pay for any utilities, just so she could prepare herself for the following year when she would be living on her own in an apartment and never using it to save money. I got fed up, found the manual for the thermostat online, and set it to never be allowed to go above a certain temperature in the summer and never go below a certain temperature in the winter. When my grandmother was still alive, she would come and visit once or twice a year. This despite her having all sort of medical complications like osteoporosis and kidney dialysis. She really loved her son. Anyway, whenever she arrived, she had a bag of frozen Olive Garden breadsticks with her for us kids. At that time of my life I went EWW gross. But now that she passed, I asked my dad why she kept doing that. Answer: when she took you to Olive Garden once, you said to her that you really liked those breadsticks. I was shocked. Turns out grandma wasn't so much cheap as old, weird, and crazy in love with her grandkids. At Ike coffee is bottomless. Now a cup is free with the Ike family card, but before that it was like $2. My girlfriend's friend and her family would go in and buy 1 cup and it would be passed along to each member to get their turn. They would apparently be there for hours socializing over a single coffee. My grandparents lived through the Depression. They waste nothing. Their freezer is a menagerie of ancient treasures. Last year we ate Thanksgiving at their house. My mom did all the cooking, but my grandma contributed a couple of desserts. One was a marshmallowy jello sort of thing with pistachios. When we got done eating, she proudly declared that it had been sitting in the freezer since 1996. She was afraid we'd find out and would waste it by not eating it. Weird thing is it was still tasty as hell. To sum it up, grandparents fed us 15-year-old pudding. At my friend's house in the 2nd grade I was only allowed to charge my Gamma Boy for 30 seconds because electricity was too expensive. A lady I used to know was thrown out of a buffet for filling her purse with food. She was actually offended and called the manager. I went to a birthday dinner for my mother-in-law at a Filipino restaurant, along with my wife and I. 4 of her friends were there. The friends ordered a mountain of food for the table. There were 7 of us there, but if there were a dozen, we could not have finished it all. This was a bit irritating right off the bat, because while I was happy to pitch in for her birthday dinner, I did not want to pay 20% of a goddamn feast from Westeros. It would up being over $200 worth of food. So then the check comes, and I pitch in my credit card, and 3 out of the 4 friends turn into statues, except the oldest gentleman, who offers something like $15. I grab the bill and divide it by 5, leaving out the dishes and drinks that my wife and I ordered for ourselves, and tally it up, saying what everyone owes. Crickets. I remind everyone that they were the ones who ordered this giant mound of food in the first place, half of which is going to go to waste. To prevent awkwardness, my mother-in-law grabs the bill and runs off, leaving my credit card to go pay it. My wife prevents me from stopping her and causing a scene. I quietly lay into the 3 deadbeats at the table for letting an elderly woman on a fixed income pay a $200+ bill for her own birthday dinner. I lose it and call them ducking moochers. And ho. Suddenly there's that scene everyone was working so hard to prevent, with them screaming at me and me screaming back. The restaurant owners understandably intervene and toss all of us out. I go back in and apologize and explain what happened. The restaurant, to their credit, knock 40% off the bill out of nothing more than kindness. Salo Salo Grill in Las Vegas, y'all, and cancel the charge on my mother-in-law's card. And I picked up the rest, which was still quite a bit, but I felt a lot better about it. My aunt and uncle once brought me out to eat with my cousins. We went to McDonald's, ordered 1 hamburger from the dollar menu, and split it 3 ways with my cousins. I had a bunch of cheap Big Pens when I worked as a server at Applebee's. I left one with a table so they could sign the receipt. I watched the dad sign it, get up, start walking away with his family, turn around 6 feet later, go back to the table, and pocket my pen. My best friend in middle school wanted to go to Outback for his birthday, so his parents and 4 of friends loaded up and drove the 45 minutes. We all order our food and an order was placed for an appetizer of cheese fries that we would all share. The birthday boy goes first, and he gets a huge ducking portion, literally 2/3 of the cheese fries, and makes sure to take all the cheese with it. All that was left were the skank remnants. No big deal. Cool, it's free food anyway. When the time to pay comes, the dad asks me and the other kids for $20 each. I ask why. He says, well, for your portion of the appetizer, your food, your drink, and for the birthday boy's food as well. I flat out refuse, and he threatens that maybe you should call your mom to drive 45 minutes to pick you up. I was 14 at the time. I had a friend in college who never spent more than $10 a week on food because she knew when and where all the events with free food were on campus. I aspire to have that level of commitment. If you are reading this, you made it until the end of the video. There is no more after this. Click the thumbs up button since you liked the video because you made it until the end. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch another video. That's it. I do not know why you are still here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? Maybe someday. Who says one does not exist somewhere already? It does not. Or does it?